Hey guys, Curtis here. In this video of Sit and Talk, I want to talk to you a little bit about goal setting and how we can use it to basically better our play and how to use it just in our daily lives. So the theory of goal setting, or goal theory as some people will call it, is all about setting tangible goals or measurable goals that we can then evaluate in the future to see if we've obtained something. It's a very simplistic way of explaining that. But what it does is it sets a target, sets a goal for us to achieve at a certain time or at a certain milestone in which we celebrate it, and it's kind of a extrinsic motivation to accomplish something. This principle should definitely be used in Tekken, as it should be used in basically your work, your school, whatever. It's a very powerful tool, especially when it comes to motivation. You're really struggling through something. Using goal setting could really help. And what goal setting kind of boils down to is you should be setting either a daily goal, a weekly goal, or a monthly goal, or all three at all times. On top of that, you should also have milestones. So I want to say one of the first milestones that you should have in Tekken, if you already haven't accomplished this, is you should reach the Tekken God Prime rank with at least one character. So if you really want to play King, get that King to Tekken God Prime on your treasure battle, single player experience. That should be kind of your first thing, is just getting matches in. And that's a very tangible kind of guideline that we can have as I've obtained this, I've succeeded in this, and you should celebrate it. You should feel good about this. You've put in a lot of games. I think on average it's around 330, somewhere around there. I don't know the exact number, but that could vary depending on different matchups that you had during your single player experience. But this is definitely one goal setting of, if you're really not getting any really games and you're afraid to play ranked, sitting down and forcing yourself and say, I'm going to obtain Tekken God Prime, and maybe, let's first try to get to Vindicator or Overlord or something along those ranks to push you kind of in your daily, weekly, and then finally your milestone progression of obtaining the final ranking in treasure mode. From there, once you've branched out and you've gotten a little bit familiar with your character and you want to get more competitive, you need to set these tangible goals in ranked or tournaments or just online play in general. If you're just starting out, I recommend setting a goal of winning one of the Tekken tournaments that are online. I play on PS4 and the online experience isn't the greatest for tournaments. That's one of my kind of complaints. A lot of time hosts leave. And while that might be frustrating, I still really recommend joining them and just trying to see as much diverse play styles as possible. Basically just get a mentality of how a tournament even feels if you've never been to a real event. And you should be targeting a win. Don't say, I'm just going to play one or two tournaments and whatever I get. No, you are there. You will continue to play tournaments until you at least get one win. Once you've had some success, you say, I'm going to play tournaments until I get 3 wins. I'm going to play tournaments until I get 5 wins, and so on and so forth. And these are different goal setting theories of, I'm going to sit down, play through a play session, and during this play session, I want to achieve X. In this instance, to get, let's say, 5 tournament wins. You can then progress to, I'm going to set rank goals for myself, in which I'm going to sit down and I'm not going to leave until I get 10 wins. That's not 10 straight, just in general 10. Even a lot of basketball players, I think it was LeBron James, who actually said when he was practicing free throws, he would keep doing it until he made, what was it, like 200 or something. Not take 200 shots, but make them. Because if you don't want to take a long time, you are going to make them. And if you are constantly missing, don't end on like a bad note and be like, I only got 40% of my shots, or I only got 50%. No, you need to hit a more tangible fixed goal of, I made 200 shots. Or in this case, I recommend setting 10, 25, or 50 wins as a goal during ranked. When I play in a ranked session, depending on how much time I have, I will set usually 25. I won't get up or I won't change a character until I reach 25 wins. That could mean I could get demoted a lot. That could mean I could rise and rank a lot. But I'm going to sit there until I get 25 wins. And as soon as I get 25 wins, it doesn't matter like what big rush or whatever, then I will just put the controller down and say, that was a good session. because I already had a tangible goal that I was setting for myself. I reached it, and then I was done. Now, if it was a revenge match, yeah, you play the 26th or whatever and you finish out the set, but still the principle still sits there. Once you're kind of past just setting fixed wins per day, you should really have more long-term, either weekly goals or monthly goals of what rank you plan on achieving, in which you don't want to just play and kind of get stuck in a rank and like, if I lose, 8 games, it doesn't really matter, because ultimately I'll win 10, and so I came out a little bit ahead. No, you really should have the mindset of always trying to be a little bit better. If you're new to the game or have been to the game just for a little while, setting a goal of attaining Tekken God is probably outside the realm of possibilities. It's possible. We've had new players enter the scene which have done phenomenally well, like Speed Kicks. As soon as he jumped on, he is a top player, so he did very well. But just statistically, you should probably aim at, I'm going to try to get to the green ranks, or then I'm going to try to get to the yellow ranks and have an orange rank. And every single time that you've reached one of those ranges, you should celebrate it. You should be happy of your achievement of what you've done and what you've achieved. But then as soon as you've reached something, as soon as you've celebrated it, you then need to set a new goal. That's either increasing the amount of wins that you're planning on getting each play session. That could be, I want to reach red ranks faster, or I want to reach red in 2 weeks. And so now you have a time element that you're trying to put yourself under. And just by adding that time element or that fixed kind of win element, you will then start seeing the motivation in your own play style start changing. You will actually start thinking about, how should I adjust my schedule, because I know I need to put in a 50 win session. And currently, I have a 60% win average, and so you can literally sit down and figure out how long you should basically take to do. And if you are already at, over 800 games or whatever, you should start tracking your percentage of just short-term wins. If you're just playing and you have even less than 50 wins, you can go on the player information and it shows you the percentage breakdown. But if you already have a lot of wins, I highly recommend taking a piece of paper out and literally tracking down each play session. When I sit down for a play session, if it's Tekken, if it's Street Fighter, or any other fighting game, I sit with a piece of paper and a pen in front of me. Each time I win, I put a tally under a W column. Each time I lose, I put a tally under a loss column. And that's how I'm literally tracking how many wins and losses that I've had at the end of a play session. And then I can see, okay, I met my 25 win goal. How many losses that I have? What was my win percentage for that specific session? And this information nobody's going to have except you. And if you're not tracking it, you're kind of losing some metrics that you can see. And you can even do analysis of if you're playing multiple characters. Well, with King in this play session, I did very well, but as soon as I switched to Leo, I was doing a lot worse, or I switched to Xiaoyu, did a lot worse, or did better with Brian, these types of things. And if you're just kind of experimenting, playing around, I really think you should be tracking this information. Because when it comes to tournament play, what matters is the win. And you could be having a lot of fun with a certain character, but if that character has a very low win percentage, you probably shouldn't be taking that into like a competitive tournament. You should be looking at the character which you have a high win rate with. I know I brought my lesser characters to tournaments before because that's just what I was feeling that day, but I also was going to that tournament without the goal of like, I just want to have fun. And so of course I did very poorly that tournament. And that's why a lot of times when I go to tournaments, I have two characters that are kind of backed up, that I feel pretty confident with. And for whatever reason, if my main character isn't doing so well, then I switch to my second one. Or if I think it was a close game and the opponent got lucky, obviously I'll stick with my first choice. Typically what I've had just historically, I stick to my primary character until I'm in the loser's bracket, and then I switch to my secondary to see if that changes up. And I know this is a Street Fighter story, but I did this in a Street Fighter tournament. My second match, I got thrown into the losers, and I was playing, I think in that edition, E Honda. Sure. And I got sent to the loser. No, I was playing Ken, and then I switched to E Honda, and the playgroup tournament at that had no idea how to face E Honda, and I made it to the finals, and I wasn't even tracking my wins or anything else because I was there just to have fun. I was mainly there for a Tekken tournament, and I entered in the Street Fighter, and just by switching up, just that meta knew how to fight Ken. They didn't know how to fight E Honda, so I got to the finals, and then I fought a very good Bison player who annihilated me. But that's besides the point. Having fun in tournaments is good. If you're really trying to win, play the character that has a very high win percentage for you. And you're going to be able to track that by looking at your goal setting theories, by looking at your historical match information, and just generally how you feel. So with that information, hopefully you go out. If it helps, goal setting theory actually says you should write out with a pen and paper of exactly what goal you plan on achieving either that day, that week, that month, and actually setting up a schedule for yourself. Just by the act of writing it down puts it to paper and puts it to more committed. You're basically writing a contract to yourself to obtain something. And so if you haven't already experimented with that, I highly encourage you, take out pen and paper. It could be just little scratch pieces of paper. Most of my notes are written on the back of day calendar dog stuff, in which I just jot down real quick little notes, either related to my work, to Tekken, or any other things on my mind. So with that, hopefully you learned something a little bit about goal setting theory and how to apply it to Tekken or training in a fighting game tournament. If you liked what you've seen so far, make sure to hit that subscribe video, and we're going to see you guys next